Hello, and welcome to our channel, Vedic Solutions. And I'm your host, Harinama Chintamani. Today is a deeply personal video that I never thought I would make. I have been guided to share with you a story that I also never thought I would speak publicly. So for those of you who may be Christian and are listening and do not believe in reincarnation, or believe that the supremely merciful God sends his children to hell for eternity, this video is not for you. Today is the advent of the Bhagavad Gita. 5,000 years ago, a great battle took place. And the division of that battle was very clear. Those who were on the side of religiosity and others on the side of irreligiosity. It was also the end of the last great age called Dwapara Yuga, before the beginning of the age we live in now, Kali Yuga, the age of violence, hypocrisy, and quarrel. The world is experiencing so much turmoil. Externally, internally, people are suffering so greatly. And there are times where some of us think that we can't go on, and we consider that maybe we should take our own life. Perhaps we've been engaged in activities influenced by others where we know that what we did was so reprehensible, we feel inside that God could never forgive us. I know that feeling. I know it from other lifetimes, and I know it from this one. I know that place of great despair. So I'm going to share with you this story. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness, that was begun by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, in the mid-60s. He came over in a cargo boat with the first canto of the sacred text of Srimad Bhagavatam, his desire, by the instruction of his spiritual master at the advanced age of 70, to give this ancient Vedic wisdom to the West, who were suffering so much for lack of knowledge. And so he established this organization that began to have great traction in the world. In 10 years, 108 temples were established with restaurants, with farm communities, and the largest publishing house of Vedic literatures that had ever been seen. And then the organization was infiltrated, infected, and the founder, Acharya, His Divine Grace, left this world untimely. So I had been a part of the organization, which I have not been a part of for some years, although I maintain my practices at home. I began to have recall of torture, mind control, that I'd been subjected to in connection with personalities, some of them still in the organization, in leadership positions. And that started to evolve about 10 years ago. And I had been sick for many, many years and began to understand that it wasn't just physical. And our sicknesses aren't just physical because we are also emotional beings. We also have a mind, we have a soul. So when we become ill, there's many reasons for that. So I began a journey of healing, and I was experiencing very, very great despair, and sometimes experiences that we have in this life can open the door to other lifetimes, and that is what happened. So I'm going to share with you this story. I began to remember many thousands of years ago, being on the planet at the time that Moses was here. And I was part of the Egyptian royal entourage. I was a seer, and I was highly paid. My position was coveted by others because the Pharaoh had great respect for me. I had an ability to look into water, for example, and see the future. And to give you a little bit of background, all these civilizations, whether Egypt or Greece, that we give credit for so much, actually came originally from the Vedic culture from India. And that culture is a culture that was all over the world. And that history is not being taught. We actually don't know the history of our own planet. And a lot of the history in the Bible has been changed as well. This story would not have made it into the Bible. So there I was in a very highly placed position. And although this Egyptian culture originated in the Vedic culture, a lot of knowledge had been lost. And I understood that I had knowledge of some subtle sciences, but I didn't understand that there was a God over everything. I really understood very little. But I knew how to manipulate subtle energy. And we can see that in the Great Pyramids. We can see that in some of the history that's left, that these ancient civilizations had a lot of knowledge of herbs and healing and building, things we can't do now. And I had an ability to imprison the subtle body of the enemies of this Pharaoh who he defeated in very large jewels that he kept on his crown. He had a lot of faith in me. And now he was being bothered by this person known as Moses. And he wanted me to get rid of him the way that I had gotten rid of so many others before. And I tried so many ways, and nothing I did had any effect on him. And there was one person in the court who was very envious. And so the Pharaoh was expecting to hear that Moses was dead. And finally, he came to me and he said, "Why is my enemy still alive?" And I bowed my head and I said, "I have tried everything and nothing is working." I was baffled. I've never experienced this before. I don't know who this person is. He has great power. This Pharaoh was a very evil, wicked man with a very big ego. And he was furious. And so this advisor spoke into his ear and basically said that I was not using all my abilities, and somehow I wanted Moses to stay alive, or whatever it was that he whispered that wasn't true. So I was arrested and I was thrown into a pyramid. And it was a particular room, and it was sealed in a particular way. There was a lot of superstition along with some knowledge of subtle energies, and I was convinced that my ka, my soul, my essence, would be trapped between dimensions for all eternity. And I cannot tell you what it's like even to speak this story again, because to believe that you have no hope for eternity is so terrible, so unimaginable. I remember screaming, trying to use my bracelets to claw the floor, knowing well that I would never get out, and being convinced that I was lost for eternity alone. And I was given one plate of food, and I was slowly starving to death and becoming mad. This has a good ending, I want you to know. But how many times have some of us come to that dark place in our heart where we truly believe that there is no hope, that we're irredeemable, that whatever we've done, either forced to do or voluntarily, that we can never be forgiven. And that is not true. Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I am the seed-giving father of all living beings. And as a father, he will never send his children to hell for eternity. That is not who he is. So, as I was about to leave my body, the most extraordinary thing happened. It was a divine revelation in my heart. And I was given an understanding that there was a benevolent energy, being, something beyond what I knew, far more expansive than I could have imagined. And I knew that somebody had prayed for me. And I knew it was Moses. And in that moment before I died, I prayed because I had an understanding of reincarnation, and I prayed that in whatever life that soul would come back again, because my heart told me that this was not an ordinary soul. This was a soul that would come to this plane to do good for others. And I prayed that I would be able to serve with that soul on the side of good and do good for others. That was the prayer of my heart when I left. And I left laughing and crying. I left that body in that place that I thought was going to be eternal suffering, and it was not. So I wanted to share that because maybe there is somebody who might listen to this story and believe that they are in that place of great darkness. But I promise you, anytime that we pray from the core of our heart with remorse for whatever we've done, been forced to do, voluntarily done, influenced to do, knowing well that it's displeasing to the Lord, He is our Father, He is our friend and our well-wisher, and He will make arrangements for us to come to Him. He's simply waiting for us to turn to Him. He's in our heart. Bhagavad Gita says that. And today is the advent of Bhagavad Gita. So I wanted to read you the last few verses of the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Give me a moment. Always think of me and become my devotee. Worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this, because you are my very dear friend. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful activities. Do not fear. This confidential knowledge may not be explained to those who are not austere or devoted, or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me. For one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end, he will come back to me. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. And I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation worships me by his intelligence. And one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reaction and attains to the planets where the pious dwell. O conqueror of wealth, Arjuna, Have you heard this attentively with your mind? And are your illusions and ignorance now dispelled? Arjuna said, My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy, and I am now firm and free from doubt, and am prepared to act according to your instructions. Sanjaya said, Thus have I heard the conversation of two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna, and so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on end. By the mercy of Vyasa, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna. O King, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure being thrilled at every moment. O King, when I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I am struck with even greater wonder, and I rejoice again and again. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 18th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of the conclusion, the perfection of renunciation. And here's a picture of Krishna and Arjuna. Thank you. Thank you for taking your time to listen. Please do share our videos, like and subscribe if you found something that has inspired your heart. Remember, you can always write to us. We so appreciate your wonderful questions. You will see the email below. And remember, our books, the books from Srila Prabhupada that you see in this wonderful library behind you, are available at our website, purelyprabhupada.com. If you do not have a Bhagavad Gita, please think about getting one. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.